Okay, good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, and there's a lot of good stuff to talk about this morning. Before we even get into the pre-market analysis for this morning, what I want to do is just kind of talk about what happened yesterday when we were talking about the potential of a bearish situation. So I do want to bring up the video from our pre-market yesterday and just show you what I said, which unfortunately I did not heed the advice that I gave you guys. And that's just how it goes sometimes. You know, I'm human and we're looking at a bullish market, looking for bullish stuff. And even though we have bearish indications, sometimes I don't read into them. But I do want to play what happened yesterday here really quickly. And so we'll kind of have to keep in mind here that we did have our high time frames giving us the potential of some bearishness off the highs. And then when we look at the actual all-time high, we definitely see bear signals on a number of time frames. So could that mean that we're going to have a larger sell-off here? There's definitely the potential for it. So there you go. There's definitely the potential for a big sell-off here. And unfortunately was not taking my own advice. Oh, you did not hear that? Okay. Well, essentially what I said was we had those bearish indications off of the all-time high on all of the time frames except for the 4-hour. And I said that, is there a potential for there to be a big sell-off in the cards? I said, yes, there definitely is a potential there. And then I just went on to talk about our potential bullish case for the morning. So, you know, like I said, I'm human, and because we're in such bullish conditions and these sell-offs end up only being for 30, 40 points and we continue, I was skeptical of my own signals, and so did not really buy into them. But let's jump into the pre-market here, and we can just kind of go over what was happening. So again, 3-month or the quarterly chart, no signs of exhaustion this morning. The monthly, still no signs of exhaustion from that perspective. And then this is where everything started to kind of make things a little clearer. If you guys remember, I said that we had our weekly candle close for the week that ended on May 7th. And I pointed out how we pushed to make a higher high, a new all-time high, but the RVI actually pushed to make a lower high. And so there was actually some indications of some potential bearish pullback or some exhaustion in the current push. And so I did mention that. And then when we went to the daily, I mentioned that when we closed here on the 7th, if we look back to the previous high where we have a nice defined peak, we then also had the push to a higher high, but a push to a lower high on RVI. So I mentioned that, you know, we had a weekly and a daily giving us the potential of some bearishness in this push higher. Now, if you look at the weekly, what I then pointed out was we had this huge wick to the downside. And so because of that wick, I thought it was somewhat of a bullish indication. And so there was kind of like two stories going on. We had this potentially bullish candle, but then we had our RVI signals giving us the indication of some exhaustion. And so we had weekly and we had daily giving us exhaustion. And then I said here, I even have it drawn on the chart right now. We remember this daily candle had not formed. And so on this daily candle, we were up here about 42.38 quarter, just a little bit below it. It was just forming. And I said that we pushed to a higher high with this new candle, but we were also up kind of a little bit on price. But I said that we were going to have to kind of watch this to see what happens throughout the morning. Now, I did not go back to my daily chart, but what ended up happening here is we obviously printed that higher high, that new all-time high. But what happened was this daily RVI actually pushed lower. And so now we really had, not only did we have a bearish indication off the candle that closed on Friday, but then the candle from yesterday closed and we got a bearish indication there as well. And so really in the cards, I have it again, it's all recorded. I said that we did have a pretty clear indication that we could have a more protracted pullback. Now, unfortunately, that's not the kind of bias we ended up building up that morning. We were potentially looking at some bullish indications off lows because of the situation in the market, because of this continuous push up higher and higher with fairly shallow pullbacks. I mean, we're talking mostly, nothing too big. Well, this is going far back in time, but in the last month or two, the types of pullbacks we've seen are, 39.70, 39.30, 40 points, 20 points, 30 points. We got this bigger sell-off here that was ended up being, over 50 points. And so overall, we were still looking for potential bullish indications off lows to continue with the pattern. So unfortunately, we did not call it. But this morning, pretty damn clear that the weekly and the daily had that in the cards. And then remember when we jumped down, the 4-hour did not have the bear indication off the high. But when we went to the hourly, when we went to the 30-minute, when we went to the 10-minute, everything had a bearish signal off the high. And so I'm kind of smacking myself this morning because I did not just go ahead and tell everyone, let's go ahead and expect for this huge pullback and start looking for shorts. But, like I said, I'm human and sometimes, that's just how it goes. But today we've got the weekly and the daily looking bearish, and really don't even need to look at signals for that. You can see we've got a pretty much 100-point sell-off or more now. And on our 4-hour, there's that bullish indication we had before the open yesterday, and we were hoping they would hold that 22 quarter or that 16 level. And so we did hold 16. We went down to 14 quarter, just less than 2 points beyond it, and we bounced, but it could not hold. And then we broke 16, and from there, it was just a big sell-off. And so this morning, let's just go ahead and kind of see from a daily perspective, do we have any indications of bullishness here after we've just sold off more than 100 points? And what I'm noticing is that all these previous lows back here, even going all the way back to the low we made at 40.56.50, we've been continually going lower here on RVI. And so although if we break below 41.1075, we can still go all the way down to 40.56.50 and still could make the case for a potential bullish divergence. So the problem here is the daily is not going to give us any type of actionable trading ideas because of that fact. Now, ideally, they would hold above this. Let's see what the low is, 20.50 or at the most 10.50. Because of all these previous signals that in the more local area, not all the way back here. And then we would still see the bullish indication. But I'm not going to read too much into the daily right now. We got what we needed to know from our May 7th candle that closed on Friday, and really should have been giving this signal on the weekly and the daily just a little bit more weight. So let's go to the 4-hour and see if it's giving us any clear indications for today. And right now, there's really nothing too clear, at least from a divergence perspective. Nothing really actionable to trade right now. And so there's really, from a daily and a 4-hour perspective, they're not really helping us out as far as potential direction or trade right now. So hopefully our more intermediate time frames will make the picture a little bit clearer here. We did have a little bit of bearishness here off of the high we made in the overnight around 69. And so you can see kind of a little bit of a exotic bearish divergence here, and then price continued down. And then right now, what I'm noticing is that we do have the potential of some bullish divergence here. Now this candle is closing in 45 minutes, so there's a lot more to go. And because of what's going on in the market right now, we could see this continue and break down, and this could could carry through for much further. And so from the 60-minute perspective, what we see is a clear bearish indication off of this 69 area here. And then there's the potential of some bullishness all the way down where we are right now. So we're going to have to go to our intermediate time frames, see if they're maybe agreeing with what's going on down here. And then maybe what we'll have is somewhat of a bullish case off of that low to see if we can come up and at least test some of the levels that we have above us. But we'll have to come down to our 30-minute and see what that's telling us here. So currently it's pretty much the same situation. You could argue from that swing low that we saw on the hourly that if we come down to here, we definitely do have a potential divergence going on. This will again close in about 15 minutes. And it is a pretty nice bullish doji bar there, huge wick to the downside. And so we could see a little bit of a push up. But if you look at what's going on here, these reversal bars are only leading to bounces of about, I don't know, call it 10, maybe 15 points. Right here, another one, maybe, 12, 13 points, and then here for about 19 points. And so I'm not so sure how far this is actually going to follow through, but we do just want to keep it in mind. Now, obviously, the idea this morning is it's super bearish looking. We're probably going to want to look for sells to see if we can get a continuation of this move. But as we dial down here, if we continue to get some bullish indications, we might expect a little bit of a bounce here at the open. 10-minute is actually not agreeing off of the low that we just made. So right now, what I'm seeing is we do not have a nice clear indication for the morning. So remember, we're doing this analysis in the morning to look for when the stars are aligning. And, again, it's annoying for me because I mean, it was in the cards and we actually talked about the bearish signal off of the all-time high. But yesterday, we pretty much had all the stars aligning off the all-time high for a potential sell-off. We had every time frame giving us a bearish indication except for the 4-hour. Every other time frame gave us a pretty clear bearish signal. I think the 4-hour and the 10-minute, and then everything else was bearish. So that was pretty clear yesterday. And so this morning we don't have a situation where almost every time frame is giving us a signal. We've got just the 60-minute and the 30-minute so far. Nothing else really agreeing. So what we're going to have to do this morning is become more of a levels trader here. And we're going to want to look at important levels that the market's going to need to hold, either below or above. And we're just going to have to trade the levels with the signals that we have. So you might be wondering, what do I mean by that? Well, here's just a great example from just a few minutes ago. In fact, there were some people in the room when these were developing. Here's a level we had at 35.50. When we came up to 35.50, we had a very clear bearish divergence, not only on the 1 minute, but on our 512 tick chart over here. And so that would have been a pretty clear area to at least try for a short, especially considering the context of the market right now. So this is what I'm going to be doing this morning, is mainly focusing on my signals at my levels, and we're just going to have to play them because there's no clear picture this morning. For all we know, this could continue to sell off because all of the time frames except for the 4-hour and the 10-minute yesterday gave us this pretty clear bearish indication, and it could continue to follow through for much deeper. And if we start to break up and start to break some key levels here, then maybe we're going to see a more protracted bounce. And so we're just going to have to take it level by level, signal by signal this morning. And so we're going to have to really zoom out to get a better picture of which levels are going to be more relevant here if we continue to break down. If we break up, pretty much every level that we have on our chart is an important level. And you can see as we broke down how well. So yesterday you can see, now this is a 30-minute, maybe a 10-minute will give a little bit more clarity here. But you can see that a lot of these levels come right down to the previous daily low. We bounce, we come right to 85, which has been on the chart for a while. Retest 85, sell off, come right to 53.50 here, come up, pretty much test 62. It did break by 2 points, so I'm not beautiful there. Pull back, bounce right off 53, comes down, bounces right off 49.50, then finds support off 53, pushes right to 62, pulls back. We get a little bit of sideways action at 62 again, pushes up. When we pull back, we bounce at 53, pull back, we bounce pretty much right at 49.50, and then we came down here to this 44.50 level, or to this 23.50 level, and I think I'm a little zoomed off. Yeah, there we go. So some pretty decent bounces. We come up, we pretty much test 62, come down, test 49, come up, test 53.50, come all the way down and bounce exactly at 27.25, right? So all of these levels, the only reason I'm saying this is because the levels we have above us are very relevant levels. And as we sold off, we found support and resistance off of them throughout the night. So if we do continue to push up here, we have those levels to rely on. And then also we can kind of add in the fact that we had some really good support in the market right around here at 44.75. So it was support there, it was support there, and then you can see on this 10-minute at least a little bit of wishy-washiness, and then this candle opened at 44.75 and broke down. So I'll leave that level on there. I know there are a lot of levels, but that's just how it goes. So you can see that pretty much every level, even when they're close together, end up becoming pretty damn relevant.